you're supposed to meet the criteria, right? The criteria says illustrate the ways in which digital technologies can support organizations, construct a digital strategy plan in order to support the implementation of digital technologies within an organization, and 6, pitch the design of a mobile application plan that supports the overall digital strategy of an organization. Blah, blah. So P5. On P5, when you want to make the digital strategy plan, we have seen that there is a digital strategy process, right? Which is what we have been studying the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks. We see that there is the strategic plan, strategic analysis, strategic objectives, strategic definition, and a strategic implementation, right? So you cannot start with the implementation because they are telling you, show me what is the strategic plan. So if the strategic plan has 4 parts and starts with analysis, you cannot start directly with the solution, right? That would be wrong because that's not planning. That is just guessing a solution. So that's why I told you the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you should start writing the analysis first, making the slides for the analysis first and make the analysis. So you would have completed the analysis. Based on your analysis, you would have set your objectives, and based on the objectives, you would have selected some strategies. And now you should be on the point of, knowing more or less what kind of app you want to make based on the strategies that you have selected. If you know more or less what kind of app you want to do now, right, that you have an idea of more or less what app you want to do, then you can start doing P4, which is illustrate the ways in which technologies can support organizations. So what you can do is, let's say you have selected 2 strategies, then you can make 2 examples of technologies for one strategy and 2 examples for technologies for the other strategy. And then from these 4 examples, you can create your own app for P6. Okay? That is more or less the order in which you have to think and in which you have to write your report. You don't need to do P4 and then P5 and then P6 because that's not the logical order to go. You can do it if you want, but then your examples on P4, they might be totally irrelevant for P5 and P6. Right? If you start on P6, which what most of you are doing or trying to do, then it will be wrong because P6 has to be based on P5 and on P4, but at least on P5. Because you cannot design an app without knowing why you want this app to be implemented in that organization. Right? You cannot do it just for fun. There must be a reason. And that reason is going to be given to you by P5. Is that clear? Or do you have questions about what you have to do? Also, please, you don't need to show me the outline anymore because the outline is something, we checked 3 weeks ago. Now we want to see your analysis in the form of slides. It's not a report, so you can make slides. You should make slides. Now, when you do the analysis, of course, you don't need to, if you're going to make the resources analysis, whatever you write on the resources analysis, it has to be connected with your objectives later and with your strategies later. If your analysis says one thing and your strategies are something else, or if your SWOT analysis is totally separated from your steeple, then your analysis makes no sense, right? When you make the analysis, remember that there are parts that they have to be connected. They have to talk about the same thing. Otherwise, they will be wrong. And that I explained you as well when we were the analysis here. Yeah. When we were in the part of the analysis in class, I explained you this part you have to carry out for this part, right? I told you the strength and the weaknesses, that those are internal, but the opportunities and threats are external. So whatever is that you write on opportunities and threats, it has to tell the same story that you're telling on your steeple, because the steeple is external. So you have to try to remember, what do I need to carry from one side to the other side to the other side? And also, you have to remove from your head that you are a student from a school, right? Because your reports are like high school reports. You are in a business school. You have to write like a business employee, right? Especially when you are doing something like this that is more related with the strategy, you need to use the visuals of a business and the visuals of a strategy, and not the pros of high school, right? You have to change your mentality. There is a reason why we are learning matrices, we are learning frameworks, we are learning models, we are learning processes, because you have to use them, right? If your report simply is a collection of clipping from many sources, then what's the reason of learning about models, learning about processes, learning about, grids, and I don't know what else, so many tools that we have learned, right? You have to use those tools. That is talking like a business person. So, any question? Now, for instance, if you do your P5 correctly, you already got D2, because D2 says, tell us how this steeple justifies the implementation of your plan. So basically, how steeple justifies your plan. If you have done P5 correctly on your external analysis, you would have done steepled already. So basically, you have to connect that analysis that you made with the implementation, with the P6, and that is your D2, right? That's all. For M4, you have to show how this application supports the different strategies. So on P5, when you made the strategic definition, right, and you are going from strategic definition to strategic implementation, there you are already showing how the app relates to the digital strategies. So that you only have to highlight in another slide, and that's it. You got the M4 already, if you did the P5 correctly. And M3, assess the ways in which digital innovation can assist organizations in developing a competitive edge through a digital strategic plan. Now, again, on your P5, if you have selected the project, as I mentioned last class, that it has to be high potential or strategic, if you select the strategic, it's obvious that it's going to give you a competitive edge. If you are going to select the high potential, then you just have to clarify that the high potential has the possibility of giving you a competitive edge. And that's it. You got your M3. So the key for you is doing the digital strategy plan, as I have shown you in class. And as I have asked you to do since the first week. Questions? Tuan, do you have questions?
No.
Okay. Anybody else questions? No?
Teacher, in the external environment, can I use a pencil?
You can use pencil if you want, but it would be incomplete, right?
Because the steeple is very new, so I don't think I can do the steeple.
Yeah, but if you're going to be doing business to business, maybe, but if you're going to be business to consumer, then you need to have information about demographics, right? And
Yeah.
that is only on Steepled, not on Pestle. So there is a reason why we use Steepled is because it's better than Pestle, right?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Huyen, do you want to ask something?
Can you explain again P4?
P4. So on P4, you have to give examples, right, of how other, let me show again. You have to give examples of how other organizations are using digital technologies. Now, so that this P4 is also part of your report and not totally separated, my advice to you would be that the moment that you have selected the strategies, right, then you also use, let's say you have selected 2 strategies after all your analysis. And those 2 strategies are the ones that you are going to use to create your own app. Then from those 2 strategies, I would look for digital technologies that help organizations to achieve those 2 or to carry out those 2 strategies or a similar objective as yours, and use that as examples, right? For instance, let's suppose that my objective was increase market share. And then my strategy 1 is by being a marketplace. And the second strategy that I have is growing in new markets. Just to tell you something, okay? So I want to be a new market that works in new markets. So my example of technologies, I can say, well, which technology? Let's say blockchain. Blockchain is helping this company to grow in new markets because of this and that way. Or blockchain is helping this company to be a market way or that way. Or you can say, well, my strategy tells me that I want to create new products. And I want to create new products in an industry that is closer to me. Okay? So then I would say how technology is helping companies create new products that are related to me but are not my main business. And I can look and say, okay, virtual reality. Companies are starting to create products on virtual reality that they reflects their current their current area, but in the virtual world. Or I can talk about digital twins, right? When you have your digital twin, where you have another product or another whatever service that is similar on a digital world than on the physical world, And then when you change it in the digital world, it helps you as an experiment to know what to do on the physical world. So you could use that as an example as well, that the digital world is a test for the physical world. And if it works on the digital world, then you're trying to implement it on the physical world, or the other way around. You implement it on the physical, then you will change it on the digital. So there's many ways to do that, right? But make it related to you, because once I create my examples, I have 4 examples, let's suppose, then I can use those 4 examples to define which app I'm going to create. Which doesn't have to be exactly as one of the 4 or even any of the 4, right? But it gives me more ideas. That is the point. That's why I make that order in that logic. But if you don't want to do it that way, well, technically, as long as you show the example, then it's correct. But you will have to do the same work for doing your P6 anyway, so why don't you just reuse that work for making your P4? That was my point. Is it more clear?
Yes.
Okay. Other questions?
Before, do I need to take a range of example?
Yeah, will be best that it's more than 2, but 4 would be enough.
For many companies,
Yeah,
and B5 will align to these 2 companies.
no, P5 is only for your company, right?
Yeah.
Whatever company you choose, that is P5. P5 and P6 are your company. P4, it can be other companies.
M3 is my company.
Come again?
M3 is my company.
Consist organizations. No, that would be more other companies. M4 is your company. D2 is your company. M3 can be other companies. But it can be your company as well, as long as you can show it. Right? As long as you can show how your company is using digital innovation for competitive edge, then it's okay. If you cannot do that, then you can relate it to P4. You can relate it to P5 or to P4, that's up to you. In my logic, relating to P5 is just easier.
Martin, so we need to finish the P5 before do the P4, right?
In my logic, yes, it would be best that you finish P5 first and then you do P4. But if you want to have it independent, then you can do both in parallel, P4 and P5 at the same time.
Okay.
Before, the example of before include my company or not?
That's up to you.
Okay.
But, if it says illustrate the ways, then means these things have happened already, right? If your company is using technology in a certain way, digital technology in a certain way already, and they got some results already, and you can use it. But in general, this would be more about other companies, P4. So here, Queen Chang is saying the business objective will be one we suggest, right? Like when we create an app to reach that business objective. Yeah, that's correct. So the business objective will be part of your analysis on P5. So on P5, you have a strategic analysis, then a strategic objective. So there is where you are going to define your objective. And then you have a strategic definition where you define the strategies, in strategic implementation where you will define how to implement it, right? All that.
In P5, we just need one digital strategy plan or like two.
Yeah, no,
Just one, right?
one is complicated enough. Why would you do two?
Yeah, because I heard that you said you have two example of strategy plans. So
No. You may have two strategies or three strategies. That is up to you at the end. You have one strategic plan, but that strategic plan can have multiple strategies. You understand the difference?
Okay. So can you tell me the difference between the P6 and M4?
P6 and M4. Okay. So on P6, you're basically just presenting the app. Okay. So you say, well, the app, is, it looks like this. It has these features, these characteristics, and it addresses this strategy, period. Then on M4, you will say exactly this strategy A, it's applied this and this way on the app. This strategy B is applied this way and this way on the app. This strategy C is applied this way on this way. You are much more specific on M4. The accent of M4 is on identifying the ways. The accent on P6 is showing the app, the ways the app work. You understand the difference on the accent? Or the scope, if you want. On P6, you just tell us what the app is and what does it do and how it relates to your strategy in general. In M4, you say specifically, this part of the app relates to this part of the strategy. Or this strategy, is applied this way on the app. That is the difference. Other questions?
So in the P6, we need to tell that how this app relate to the H strategy, and in the M4, we need to tell about what can they do for achieve this strategy.
In the part 4, you just say
M4.
in general. Yeah, on P6, you just say in general that it fits with your digital strategy. And it has to be clear that it fits. But you don't have to explain in detail how does it fit. On M4, you will explain on detail how does it fit. That is the difference.
Okay, so about the P5 and D2, after we finish the P5, how can we tell you that the D2, where the D2 included? I don't know. Where
Okay.
the D2 in the P5?
Yeah, because when you talk about the implementation, right at the very end, you will have some activities that you are going to do, and you have the app as the activity, main activity, right? So you will relate the app, so the implementation of your strategy, which is the app, you will relate it with the steeple, and that's it. It's like making sure that you did that you said that you will do based on your analysis. So you start the analysis with a steeple and end up with the up, right? Now, to make sure that it was done correctly and there is connection between your first, with your beginning and your end, now you will try to relate the end with the beginning. That's all. Do you understand?
I just want to ask that. I just want to ask you that. Can we mix the D2 with B5 and D2 with M4?
Yeah. So basically, D2 will, yes, D2 is related with P5, like I said, right?
Yeah.
But the relation will be that you will explain why the P6 or M4, if you want, relates with the P5. That why the app that you did, you know, why did you do the app that you did? And you will explain it in terms of steeple. That's it.
Okay.
For instance, let's suppose you talk about your demographics in terms of there is a large number of people that uses mobile phones at present, and those are on the ages between 18 and 35. And then you say my app, right, that allows digital banking for this segment of the population with this type of services. And then you say, well, if you see the app is addressing what I said on the demographics. Now we're also saying that the economy is booming, and so therefore people needs more money. So that's why the app allows people to get loans. So now you're relating to two things, the economics and the demographics. And then you can go to the social. People nowadays, they have more wealth, and so therefore they want to show off their wealth by showing the possessions. Therefore, they need the ability to buy houses and cars. And so the app allows people to buy houses and cars. That's it. That's how you're justifying your app with the steeple. Get it?
Yes, but it can be so long, right?
It's a slide. You don't have to write. You just have to put the keywords. Maybe you want to use a table to do that.
Okay.
That's why, to avoid that you have to write many words, we said make slides. And in the slides, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I will mention it later, that the slides cannot have more like 40, 60 words should be the maximum, not more than that per slide. Right? Because in the slide, you are not allowed to have full sentences. You need to have only keywords or maybe short sentences of 5, 10 words maximum. Okay, other questions? No questions. Okay, so this part was a bit long, so let's take a break. Let's refresh for a while, and then we come back at 10:50, and we will continue. Yeah? Okay.
Okay.